Okay, these are some questions for our officials in Xinjiang. In developing agriculture, what new products and specialities have been promoted in Xinjiang? That's one question. Let me ask a series of 3 questions and you can respond to them, each one. What kind of new machinery and expertise are you looking for to develop these new agricultural products? And what about forestry? How far has the results of forestation advanced? Are you now building industries exploiting the new forests, and what machinery are you interested in to develop that? And finally, what is the old main industry, and in what fields are you now expanding your industry? Sweden is producing mining machinery as it is the largest mining nation in Europe. How much of its mining machinery industry could be developed in Xinjiang? So those questions I direct towards our guests and friends, co-hosts from Xinjiang.
新疆方面的这个会场，我想刚才您提到的这个问题，就由我们这个新疆维吾尔自治区工业和信息化厅的综合业务部门的负责人严宏斌先生来做一回应。
Well, now an official from the Department of Information Technology will answer your question.
大家好，新疆坚持把基础设施建设作为经济增长和推动高质量发展的重要抓手，高质量推进基础设施、农业和工业领域项目建设。“13+5”时期累计完成了固定资产投资4.1万亿元。
Well, Xinjiang has been paying high attention to the development of technologies in industries and agriculture. And during the 13th five-year plan period, we have already invested 4.1 trillion RMB in the investment in the fixed assets.
建设了一大批交通、水利、能源方面的重大项目，如建成了阿尔泰至富蕴至准东的铁路、格尔木至库尔勒铁路、于田机场。
Well, we have developed a number of transportation, water conservancy, and energy infrastructural projects. For example, we have built a railroad from Alatai to Fuyun all the way to Zhendong. We have built a railway which connects Gormu and Kurli. We've also built an airport in Yutian.
还建成了阿尔塔什、卡拉贝利、吉因、苏巴什等18座大中型水库，建成了塔里木3000万吨油田、750千伏骨干电网。
We have built 18 large and medium-sized water reservoirs in Artash, Kalabela, Jiyin, Subash. We have also built a major oil field and a major grid in Talimu.
在工业领域建设了大型煤电、煤化工基地、新能源基地，建设了电信 5G 网络。
We have built a large co-production base, energy production base. This is in terms of the industry. We have also built a telecommunication 5G network.
农业领域实现了高标准农田建设、新疆优质棉基地建设、新疆特色林谷基地建设等一大批重大工程。
In terms of agriculture, we have built the high standard agricultural fields, a production base for high standard cotton, and a high standard base for special forestry and fruit.
谢谢。
Thank you.
刚才问题中呢提到的关于新疆的这个森林的恢复率的问题，这个问题呢，我们想请新疆维吾尔自治区乡村振兴局的张代茂先生来做一回答。
Now an official from the Bureau of Rural Revitalization would take the question about the forestry rate in Xinjiang.
大家好，新疆黄木化土地面积占新疆国土面积的60%以上，占全国黄木化面积的40%。新疆沙化土地面积占新疆国土面积的近一半，占全国沙化土地面积的近一半。
Desert or desert-like land area in Xinjiang accounts for about 60% of the territory of this region. That's about equivalent to 40% of China's total, we say, desert land. And so the desert land in area in Xinjiang is roughly about half of its territory, and also the half of the national's total territory.
新疆自治区高度重视防沙治沙工作，不断加大沙化土地综合治理力度。经过社会各界的不懈努力，土地沙化扩张趋势持续减缓，沙区生态环境持续改善，沙尘天气持续减少，实现了从沙地人退到绿地沙退的转变，防沙治沙工作取得了阶段性成果。
Xinjiang attaches great importance to control the process of desertification, and has intensified its desert control measures over the years. Thanks to these concerted efforts, that the desertification in Xinjiang has been has been curbed effectively, and the natural environment, ecosystem and environment in the desert areas have changed greatly with the sandy and storming days. Number of sandy and storming days was significantly decreased over the years. Actually, we have achieved significant achievements in anti-desertification and desert control.
5年来，累计防沙治沙189万公顷，退耕还林32.8万公顷，森林覆盖率由2015年的4.7%提高到2020年的5.02%，草原植被明显恢复，退化趋势得到遏制。
Over the past 5 years, that we have a total of 1.89 million hectares of within the desert land being effectively controlled, and about 328,000 hectares of farmland being returned to as forestry, and the forestation rate of this province increased to 5.02% in 2020 from 4.7% in 2015, and with great the conditions in the grasslands has also been greatly improved.
2010至2014年，黄木化土地面积减少了589.21平方公里，年均减少117.84平方公里。谢谢大家。
From 2010 to 2014, the desert or desert-like land decreased by 589.21 square kilometers, which is about 117.84 square kilometer less annually.
刚才主持人在问题中呢提到的今后跟瑞典方面的一些经贸合作的问题，前面朱勇厅长呢已经在他的这个致辞中呢已经做了一些介绍，这里呢就不再重复。
Regarding, the trade and economic cooperation between Xinjiang and Sweden, actually, DDG, Madame Zhu Yun also actually made mentioned some of the future plans for cooperation in the field of trade and economy with Sweden. So we don't actually take further time to elaborate on that.
主持人你好，刚才您说的问题我们做了一个回应，您看还有什么其他的问题？
Mr. Moderator, we've just answered your question. Are there any further questions that you might have for us?
I think that could be.
What is the?
Enough.
There is a question
All
just
right.
came in.
If
There's-
you know, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the question says, what is the strategy of the BRI to counter economical US sanctions to Xinjiang, especially products from Shinji produced in Xinjiang? Or I mean, what is China's policy to encounter these sanctions?
Okay. Is there somebody who will take that question?
Maybe we,
No, they translated it now.
we can go to Professor Geraci in the meantime, maybe.
All right, I will read the question. This is from Mr. Claudio Silani. I want to say hello to Michele Geraci and ask him a question if he is still there.
I'm still here.
I was recently in Rome and spoke with a businessman who has been quite involved in trade and BTOB business with China, and complained first about the aversive climate that has been created in Italy about China, but also about the fact that due to COVID restrictions, it has become very difficult to operate, travel, and organize events. As concerns the latter, do you think this will improve in the future?
So the first question, the climate, let's say I hope it will improve. And I have to say it is thanks to events like this that we are trying to improve the climate vis-a-vis China, because of course we have a geopolitical tension growing. Europe, Claudio, is stuck in the middle. On one hand, I give you here a political answer. On one hand, we need to reaffirm our geopolitical alliance to the European Union, to our European values and Americans. On the other hand, we want to do trade with China. And this was why, of course, we entered the agreement on the Belt and Road, the famous MOU. The problem, Claudio and everyone, is, and this needs to be very clear, the interest of some politicians is not always the interest of the country that they should that they work for. It is not always the interest of the companies that we need to help to do business with. It is not in the interest of the workers. The interest of politicians is to get votes. And in a time where we have experienced a very hard economic situation. GDP in Italy is down 8.9%. Very, very difficult. Of course, we have the COVID. Politicians need to find a monster so that they can be the hero. This is the narrative that we see in movies. If there is no monster, you cannot be hero. And if there is no monster, you have to make one up. And so this is the current situation, and maybe the root why people always find enemies. Where, you know, the European Union blames Brexit for trade. Italy, some Italian people blame China for the virus. Some other blame the American for other issues. It's always trying to blame people outside. Psychologically, it's very difficult for leaders in a country to say it's my fault. So the tension is there, but it is with facts and analysis, like events like this, that we try to tone down the problem. So I hope it will go down, and I assure you, Claudio, and everyone, my effort is exactly aimed at doing this, tone down the geopolitical tension, as I said at the beginning, between academia and the government. Sorry, the other question was, I forgot. Stephen, maybe you can help me remember.
It was who has, if it has become very difficult to operate, travel, and organize events because due to COVID restrictions. And I think you answered that. As concerns the latter, do you think this will improve in the future?
I don't see any immediate improvement. You know, if a businessman wants to travel to China, he needs to, of course, do quarantine anyway. And then there is two paths, either a PU invitation letter from the local government or a Chinese vaccine that would replace the invitation letter. So if you have one, then you can go there. Then there's a problem of flights. There are rules that make it complicated. Fundamentally, we need to understand something. China takes great care to safeguard the stability of the country. And the country comes before individuals, businessmen that want to go to China. I know everyone would like to go tomorrow to China, but with the Delta variant, third wave, fourth wave, football celebrations and everything, China is naturally, I would do the same, very careful, just like Japan and other countries in Asia, that to put the society, the need of the society ahead of the need of individuals. Individuals can wait. If some company goes bankrupt or the manager does not do business successfully, Claudio, I'm sorry, it's, how do you say, side effect, byproduct of a bigger goal. So I think a restriction will be there until, this is not a question we need to ask China, until the West, or Europe in our case, gets our act in order and we bring cases down to zero. At that point, whenever that is, then travel restriction will be lifted. So China is in a way a passive recipient of what is going on in Europe. The solution, Claudio, is in our own hands. We cannot ask China to do anything. We have to ask our own government to fix our problems.
Thank you, Professor.
Do we have the answer from Xinjiang on the previous question?
刚才呢，主持人问到一个问题，就是面对西方的制裁，新疆的政府呢要做些什么？其实对于美西方国家呢，一段时间以来，他们以所谓的这个侵犯人权为名，对新疆的包括一些纺织、服装的企业、番茄加工、金融和高科技的一些产业呢，实施无理制裁。
Sure. Mr. Moderator, you have just raised a question about how we can do to respond to US sanctions on China. Well, here I want to say something about your question. Well, until recently, some anti-China forces in the United States and some other Western countries imposed sanctions on China for, in terms of the textile industry, clothing industry, tomato making industry, financial industry, and high-tech industry on groundless charges and grounds.
我们认为呢，这种行径目的就是为了通过打压新疆的这些重要的特定的一些企业和产业，来遏制新疆的稳定发展，剥夺各族群众的生存权、就业权和发展权。
We believe that the US imposed these sanctions on the major and key industries and companies in Xinjiang in order to destabilize Xinjiang and hold back Xinjiang's development so that the people will be deprived of their rights to their life, their employment, and their development.
这种野蛮的行径呢，也是严重违反了国际的贸易的规则，严重破坏了全球的产业链和供应链。
Well, such acts actually seriously violates the international trading rules and disrupt the global supply chain and in industrial chain.
新疆维吾尔自治区政府将坚决维护受制裁企业的合法权益。
The People's Government of Xinjiang Uyghur Autonomous Region will firmly protect the interests and rights of these sanctioned companies.
围绕构建国内国际双循环的这种新发展的格局，以市场为导向，以产业的结构调整为抓手，以政策的扶持为保障，来实施产业、财税、金融政策的组合拳。
Well, we will focus on building a new development paradigm in which the international and domestic relations reinforce each other, as we will take a market-based approach and follow the development of industries and take appropriate policy measures to support our goals so that we can ensure the coordinated response both in terms of industries and financial technologies.
以此来坚决维护国家的产业安全，新疆的产业安全。
In so doing, we will aim to ensure the safety and security in Xinjiang's industries.
我们也将会利用自贸区的安排，多双边的合作机制。
您继续多说两句。
我们也会利用自贸区的安排，多双边的合作机制。 包括引导企业利用跨境电商、海外仓等新业态新模式等，一国一策的来开拓多元化国际市场。
Well, we will use other measures, including the arrangement of a free trade area and the multilateral and bilateral cooperation mechanisms to guide our businesses to set up new forms of industries like the e-commerce, the overseas warehouses, etc.
比如说，我们在加快产业结构的调整方面呢，会持续优化棉花的种植布局，加快棉花、番茄等的这些品种的改良培育。
For example, in terms of the industrial transformation, we will improve the distribution of the plantation of cotton and tomatoes so that the industry related to them will be improved as a whole.
来不断提高新疆的产品的品质和市场竞争力。
And therefore, the products of Xinjiang will become higher standard and more popular and competitive in the international market.
再比如，我们对有关技术和装备也会进行自主的研发，来推进装备的国产化进程。
Another example is that we will also pursue the autonomous development of the related technologies and equipment so as to pursue our own development in these regards.
再比如，我们也会实施积极的援企稳岗促就业的政策，开展营企对接，来改善企业的融资环境。
Another example is that we will also stabilize our employment and secure people's job vacancies so that we can provide more support in this regard and help people to open up their avenues for better employment.
来通过政策的组合来帮扶企业来积极应对。
By taking these integrated policy measures, we can help the enterprises to cope with these difficulties.
我们相信美西方的这些制裁都是废纸一张。
We believe that these sanctions imposed by the United States and some Western countries will only become rubbish paper.
也更重要的是，美西方的这些制裁让新疆的民众也更看清了他们假人权、争霸权的面目。
In addition, these sanctions only lay more bare how these sanctions are to the Xinjiang people. They are actually pursuing the hegemony rather than caring about the human rights conditions in Xinjiang.
也必将激发支持新疆受制裁的产业和企业的热情和动力， 来推动这些产业和企业度过眼前的困难，走向成熟强大。
And these sanctions will further only motivate the industries and businesses sanctioned in Xinjiang so that they can brave these adversity and move toward maturity.
对这个问题，我们就回应这么多。
That's my answer to your question, please. So you've got to unmute yourself, so because you are not unmuted, we can't hear you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're very grateful for the participation of Xinjiang's official representatives. We are grateful for the input from ambassadors and all of the panelists. I think it is clear that for those who wish cooperation and development, the world is an open forum for that through the BRI. And as far as the West is concerned, if they would take the possibility of working together, that would be in their own interest, not what is presently going on. So we will continue to work for cooperation and truthful reporting and development. And we are grateful for everyone's participation. Is there someone who would like to make some last remarks before we close the meeting? And I thank everybody for their participation and look forward to another webinar in the not so distant future. Thank
我这
you.
边还有一个表态，还有一段想法，一段感想。简单的说两句。
Mr. Moderator, the official from Xinjiang still have something to say, which is very brief. So please spare her some time for saying this.
Okay, you're welcome.
我们新疆方面呢，今天非常感谢咱们各位嘉宾的分享，非常有思想、有深度、有活力的这种分享，也特别感谢咱们发言嘉宾，其中的一些发言嘉宾对新疆、对不为谎言、谣言所蒙蔽蛊惑，对新疆的仗义直言。
Well, today, the official from Xinjiang, on behalf of the people of Xinjiang, feel very thankful for the insightful and vibrant talks that we have had in this webinar. We would like also to thank all the participants in the webinar for your impartial talks, despite the lies and rumors about Xinjiang that are rampant around the world at this moment.
正如刚才几位嘉宾说到的，当前的新疆经济社会发展、民生改善都取得了前所未有的成就，天山南北呈现出社会稳定、人民安居乐业的良好局面。
Well, as some guest speakers just mentioned, now Xinjiang has achieved unprecedented achievements in terms of socio-economic development and the improvements of people's lives. And now the whole of Xinjiang is enjoying improvements of people's lives and social stability.
在涉疆问题上，我们始终认为真理在我，真相在我，道义在我，民心在我。
On Xinjiang related issues, we've always believed that we have the truth, we have the facts, we uphold justice, and we have the people's support.
我们相信境外的一些人编造的一些谎言，终将被新疆经济社会发展蒸蒸日上，新疆各族人民生活其乐融融的真相和事实所戳穿。
Well, we believe that the lies peddled by some anti-China forces overseas will sooner or later be debunked by the socio-economic development and harmonious lives of the people.
虽然我们一直致力于向世界来介绍真实客观的新疆，但是面对西方舆论构成的这种信息的隔离墙，我们也会进一步的通过多种方式，包括召开新闻发布会，邀请各位外国嘉宾来参访新疆，以及像召开今天这样的网络视频研讨会等多种形式，来澄清谬误，传递真相。
Well, we have always been committed to present to the world Xinjiang as it is in an impartial and objective way. However, the United States and some Western countries have built a wall to seal us off from the truthful information. And that is why we will continue to use multiple ways to present the truth of Xinjiang, including holding the press conferences, inviting the foreign guests to Xinjiang to take a visit, and hosting such webinars.
我们也真诚地希望国际有识之士呢，能够本着客观公正的原则，来共同抵制和反对那些涉疆谎言、谣言和虚假信息。
We also hope that the fair-minded people in the world will also take an objective and impartial attitude so that we will work together to resist and oppose those lies and rumors and disinformation cooked up by the United States and some Western countries.
当然，最后我们也非常热情地欢迎刚才咱们诸位嘉宾能够再来新疆，新疆欢迎你们。
Last but not least, I wish to extend my warm welcome to all of you to come to Xinjiang to take a look at it, and you are more than welcome to come to Xinjiang.
谢谢。
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zhu. We look forward to a lot of future cooperation with you in Xinjiang. This is not the last one, but many times we will continue to make sure that the true picture will get out in the West, despite the control of the present media operations that we are unfortunately forced to meet with a smaller group at the moment, but it will go forward. So we look forward to working with you in the future, and we wish you all the best in your continued efforts for the people of Xinjiang and China to go forward with development in the Belt and Road. And I thank everybody for the wonderfully successful seminar today. And we will be back in the not so distant future for more such dialogues and presentations. So I thank you for your participation.